How's it going? It's Nathan Hawken and welcome to the video. When do you actually make a choice when you've started your freelance work, your solopreneur, single person business to back to a job and going back to work? I know it can be difficult to think about and not a very popular topic either, but I've seen some very successful entrepreneurs took strategic jobs along their journeys which actually accelerated their ultimate goals. Because what if the choice between your freelance work, your solo business, and employment isn't about your identity, it's about strategy? If you don't know who I am, my name is Nathan Hawken. I am a coach and I've been coaching for over a decade now, working with high-performing leaders, senior executives, former Olympic athletes, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, other coaches, business owners. And this topic has popped up in many of my conversations where their business isn't moving where they want it to be just yet. And the choices come to, do they go back to work and continue their business? Do they quit their business and just take a job? And there's a false choice here between freedom and security. One of the things which is talked about a lot in a lot of personal development, things like that, is to kind of burn the bridges and just go all in on your business. And that's what this video is about, because I'm going to share with you a small framework to really help take the emotions out of this choice. There is a false dichotomy when we talk about freelancing or having your own business and having employment. And it's very much a trap in your own identity. Because when we look at freelancing and we're sold that it's freedom, it's creativity, it's unlimited potential. And then we look at employment, it's like, well, I'm selling out, or I'm giving up, or I'm settling for less. And it's this binary thinking that really keeps people stuck where they are. Rich Litvin is a coach that I follow, and in his book, The Prosperous Coach, which is amazing, he says, now don't quote me on this because it's probably not going to be word for word, but there's a part in it when he's talking about being needy as a coach. And when you're trying to sign clients coming from a place of needy, that's very creepy. But because you need clients because you need to pay the bills, or there's not much money in the bank or no money in the bank, so you really need a client. And he says if you need clients, you don't need clients, you need a job. Which is really hard to think about, especially when you're fulfilling your dream, your passion work of being a coach in this example, but someone's telling you that you actually need a job. If you genuinely need clients, then you don't. You need a job. Because that shows in the work that you're doing, that desperation, that neediness. When I first heard that, that was a reality check for me. And I think that's what a lot of people really need, is a reality check. Because taking a job is not a bad thing. Many successful entrepreneurs have used employment strategically to work on their dream, to build the life they want while still being employed. Some freelancers are actually significantly less free than employees because they have constant client demands, or they've got the financial stress of getting that next client. And employment can create resources, it can create skills, it can help you build up your network to accelerate your future goals. And freelancing and having your own side business or being a solopreneur isn't automatically more lucrative or fulfilling than having a job. Because the real question is, it's not about what sounds better in theory. It's about what serves you specifically to your specific goals, to your circumstances and timeline. I still work full time. I do my coaching on the side. The reason for that, because it takes a lot of pressure off myself until I'm at a stage where I'm able to have a bigger business where I can support myself. But at the moment, I've got a family, I've got 2 small kids, I need to pay the bills, and I don't want that additional stress. Something I have wrestled with in the past, and I was doing coaching full time, but I had to go look for a job. I really wrestled with, well, what would people think? If I'm putting content out there, I'm trying to work with clients, what would people think if I actually have a job as well? And it really wrecked my confidence. I felt it's like my pride, my ego took a nice hit. But I had to put all that aside because that's just nonsense. That's just my own insecurities popping up. But a lot of freelancers even think, a lot of business people, solopreneurs think, well, I've invested so much time into my business already. I've so much time, so much energy, even so much money, that it'd be difficult to say, all right, well, I'm just going to get a job now. Feel like they're giving up. And a lot of fear can really come up, particularly some FOMO, real fear of missing out. And like, well, what if my business really takes off just after I take a job, right? Or there's that anxiety of being an employee again. Well, I've been working for myself and I had this relative freedom for a while. What if I hate being an employee again? So to help with all this, inner dialogue and this identity crisis around what it would be like going back to a job, here's a very small framework that you can go through to help you with this and make it more of a strategic decision for you rather than an emotional decision. So factor one, let's look at the financial reality and assess where you're currently at right now. So look at your current income. Is your freelance work, your business work, your solopreneur work, is this income really meeting your needs consistently? Like, do you have all your bills covered and a little bit left over? Then let's get real. Based on this actual data, not the hope data, not the potential clients, but what the actual data says right now and where you're currently at, where will you be in 12 months? Because if you're thinking about that and anxiety comes up and it's increasing your stress levels, is this financial anxiety limiting your ability to actually make good decisions and continue making good decisions in the future? Then look at the opportunity. If you took a job with a stable income, what could you do with a stable income that you can't do right now? Guaranteed income coming in week by week or month by month. What could you do with that stable income that you can't do right now? Once you've explored those questions and you've got some answers there, let's have a look at the next factor, which is your skill development. Let's have a look at what you're learning right now, your learning velocity. So are you currently growing faster as a solo business person or freelancer, or would you learn more in a new role? Would that actually assist your skill development? Does a potential position provide you with connections that you can't access where you are right now? And if you were to take a job and get full-time employment again, what tools or training or team support does that bring you that would otherwise cost you significantly if you were doing it on your own? Then have a look at where the areas of the employment and taking a job could fill critical knowledge or experience gaps that you currently have now. So you can see that we're actually starting to look at and a bit of a reality check in regards to where your current skills are, what it would cost you, what you'd have to do in order to get those skills if you just continue to work versus if you were to go and get a job and have that additional skill support, those resources, the knowledge gaps that they're going to fill. Then the next stage after that is to have a look at the strategic alignment evaluation, where you can actually look at your long-term goals and you think about, well, this position, this job that I'm potentially going to take, does that move you towards or away from your ultimate vision? And it's not just about taking the necessary steps to get there. It's about, does this position in any way, whether it's skill development, financially, does this move you forward or does it take you away from your ultimate vision? Then look at how flexible you are with your timeline for your ultimate dreams and your bigger goals. So can you actually pursue your bigger goals while employed? Is there any way for you to pursue your big goals by taking a job and being employed? Or is it always going to require your full focus? This is a really big one, and it's a really big decision to make. Because if it's going to require your full focus, then we need to look at alternative avenues. But if taking a job is actually going to help you pursue your bigger goals, that's a really good consideration to take on. Now you have to look at your risk tolerance as well. So what is your actual capacity for uncertainty versus your need for stability? A lot of people struggle with this. I've struggled with this myself. How capable are you of living in uncertainty versus filling the need for stability? Many people struggle with this. But it's a really good question to ask yourself, because if you're not capable of living in uncertainty for extended periods of time, and stability is something that essentially is needed, that really helps your decision-making progress here. But one of the biggest factors to consider is your context in your life. So what are your family obligations? For me, I've got a small family. I need to take care of them financially. I need to be available to them. So time and energy are factors for me. But what are your family obligations? What are your health considerations that you need to think about? What are your major purchases that you have or debts that you're in that will affect your risk appetite and take risks in the future? These are really big things to think about. And these are the type of things that we tend not to think about because it becomes too difficult, because it adds additional stress. We always need to get that next client. We always need to make the business successful. And that's all well and good. But if your family's suffering now, if your health is suffering now, if you've got major purchases or you're in debt, you need to focus on that. These are some serious considerations to take in. But it's not all doom and gloom. Because once you've got all this information, you've really give it some consideration, then you can start to think about your exit strategy and test it out. So you ask, well, how easily could I return to being a solopreneur and doing my business full time if desired? Like, how easy would it be just to step back into it at any stage? On a skill level, you ask yourself, well, will being employed or going back to a job maintain or erode any entrepreneurial capabilities that I have? But a really good question to ask and figure out is, can I negotiate the terms to serve my timeline? So the terms of my employment, can I negotiate on that which are going to serve my timeline? So these are really good things to think about when you're considering going back to full-time employment rather than continuing your business or solopreneur or freelancing full-time. But to really assist you in this decision making, let's create a bit of a scorecard so you can rate each one. So rate each factor that we just went through 1 to 5 based on how much the employment opportunities will serve in that area. So if you look at the financial reality side of things, give that 25%. If you look at the skill development, 25%. Strategic alignment, 30%. And then the exit strategy, 20%. Once you've got those percentages, then when you go through, you weigh it all up and you've got your percentage on everything. If it's a 4, that's a strong case for employment. If it's a 3 to a 3.9, that's conditional, where you can negotiate terms or the timing as well. If it's below 3, continue your work, continue your freelancing, continue your solopreneur business, but address the specific gaps that have come up. But there is a factor here that you really need to consider as well that this framework can't really tell you, and that's your gut instinct after you've removed all the emotional noise which has popped up. What does your intuition say? When you're thinking clearly, when you've removed emotion, what's your gut instinct? What's your intuition telling you? That's always going to be your best guide, whether you like what it's telling you or not. So before I finish up, let's just look at some real world considerations to consider. So when does employment actually make sense? Maybe it's when your freelance business has really plateaued despite consistent effort. Maybe it's when you need specific skills or access to a network that employment can provide. Maybe it's the financial stress and it's just crushing you. It's just limiting your decision-making ability and stressing you out. Or the role generally aligns with your long-term vision. So when to stick to freelancing? Well, when you're seeing genuine momentum, genuine growth and ongoing growth. When you have an adequate financial runway that you don't have to worry about finances anymore. When the employment opportunity is purely fear-based and it's not strategic. Maybe you've given your business adequate time and effort and things are moving, or maybe the role would significantly distract you from your ultimate goals. And sometimes it's not even an either or, because there's also hybrid options as well. It's negotiating consulting agreements, part-time positions, or even project-based work simply to bridge the gap between both worlds. Just remember that this is not a permanent choice, and there's no permanent choices here. Both paths can serve your bigger goal if they're chosen strategically. The key here is making the decision that serves your timeline, just not your ego. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy my content and it's serving you, I ask that you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification and give it a like as well. And feel free to share it with anyone that you think it may serve. If you'd like some further help and you'd want to have a conversation with me, please reach out. My details are below. Thanks again.